I've served in the board for the past 5 months, but prior to that, I mean, you talk to your neighbors, you talk to board members, you talk to friends, family, you even talk to the kids, and you see what their opinion is and of the school board. But I think there is, and there has to be, there has been a concentrated effort. Before I got here, I know, there was an effort to increase communication, increase emails, increase, feedback and communication to the parents and the community. And I think that's something that we are still working on and still improving. You can never have enough communication, in my opinion. No one likes surprises. The more we know how the community feels and what their concerns are, what their interests are, the better we can do our job as the Board of Ed.
Fine. We have an extension of that question with this one about relationships with the community. How open or transparent, and Mr. Franz, this will be for you first, how open or transparent should the board be about the decision-making process and internal discussions? Would you be in favor of making the public meetings accessible on some kind of media?
I mean, my initial reaction is that seems fine. I think we do have a certain level of openness. We have a meeting every other week, roughly. We do try to rotate it from one school building to another. Not only in the township, we were here last night. We are aware of getting out into the community. I think as far as the level of openness and transparency, even last night, the communication consisted around perhaps rescheduling Monday night meetings so they wouldn't conflict with Chatham Borough Council, and to move those possibly to a Wednesday or Thursday and see how that goes. I think the board is, open to trying to promote more, accessibility and attendance at these meetings. There's no reason we wouldn't be, and I think it's a positive for the community and for the school system.
Thank you.
Well, I personally believe in wide open government. I believe the more open the government, the better it is, that everyone can participate. And with all due respect to Mr. Franz, since I know he's only been on the board for a number of months, but the issues of communication between moving the meetings so they don't conflict with borough meetings and also possibly broadcasting the meetings are topics that are perennially discussed, that they come up every few years and then for one reason or another aren't acted upon. So it's fantastic that the board is discussing them again, but it's something that's happened before, and until the board takes that step and begins to broadcast the meetings or actually formalizes a schedule that doesn't conflict with the Borough Council, there's still work to be done.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Yes, and you can then each have a minute. Or are you set up in it? Good.
I mean, I guess to clarify, I think that in terms of openness and communication, it's not just on, inviting people in, but also going out, right? And so I think, it's something, again, that I do. The committees, there are subcommittee meetings. I think there are issues there with respect to openness. There are sometimes confidential personnel matters. So there is a certain give and take. But in terms of overall openness, I'm all for it. And I think I'm not saying just by moving the day or the time or the place is the end all, but it's certainly a step in the right direction.
Thank you. Mr. DeFiglia, would you like to a minute?
No, I think I'm okay.
Okay. Then you get the next question.
All right.
And that is, can you think or propose 3 improvements that the school district could implement to improve the education it provides to our students?
Sure, absolutely. I think the first thing that we can do is we can spend a little more effort focusing on language arts for the grammar school children. I think that would be one of the key steps. So many studies show that children learn languages better when they're at a very young age. Instead of offering more languages at the high school, I think that we could be offering them to the grammar school children. Another option would be to involve more of the community in some of the programs that we want to run. One of the big issues that I keep hearing from parents is they want more STEM programs. And we have some fantastic retired engineers who live in the borough who volunteer their time on a number of different projects that I think would be absolutely excellent in coming in and working with students on some engineering products and get their hands-on experience working with folks who've been in the field, be it designing gardens or working on the waterways in town. I mean, our retired engineers are just fantastic, and they're involved in the community. And one of the other things that I think, and I don't think it's something that the board does a particularly bad job of, it's just something that can always be improved, is working on teacher development. There's so many changes happening in technology and education and the programs that are coming out there and the new evidence-based studies that are out there, that we just need to make sure that while our teachers do a fantastic job going out and getting trained on new materials, that they are getting trained on the most cutting-edge ones out there, and the ones that are not only cutting-edge but are proven to be effective.
Thank you, Mr. Franz.
Well, I certainly agree on the technology. As far as 1, 2, or 3 initiatives, I think technology development, technology at the administrative level and the educational level, you can never have enough of. You can never be ahead of it enough. You need to always be current and even forward-looking. I think some of these are already in place. So as far as initiatives, I think, I'm not saying that it's something, but it's something that I think that the current administration, current board is always looking for or exploring with respect to technology. Another process that could help would be, and I think again this is part of the overall board process, administration process, is reviewing the current structure and kind of reviewing the process and how does the school work, and with respect to looking at the budget, are there places that we could improve? Are there places we can find money in one spot by eliminating something and putting that money into maybe a more effective manner? The third place, I think, and again, some of this is already in the process or it happened, it would be the energy audits. That's just another example. And when you think of the potential savings, that's something that these audits come in and we're getting and looking to those, and a dollar found here is a dollar used elsewhere. So I think those are some of the things we could look into.
Well, I think we'll continue on that theme, because the next question is, what can you suggest 1, 2, or 3 initiatives that the school could take to either save money or increase the value added to the education? So that's your question, and you have a minute to.
Sure. I mean, I think I think 3 improvements, or maybe I got ahead of it myself looking at different questions, but I think to reinforce the initiatives that we could do to save money, again, just kind of technology based, but I guess taking a step back, looking at what we can do to improve the education process. Some other ideas I had were perhaps polling freshmen now at college, and in terms of when they graduated, and
Bertie will give him a little.
just in terms of what their experiences were, what their freshman year experiences were, and where they felt perhaps the education they received here, how could it be improved or how could it be enhanced with respect to a constant review again of the structure from the top down. It's something that I think that's where having 9 members of the board, as well as administration, and open communication with the community. A lot of this stuff, a lot of the items that come up at the Board of Ed meetings are bubbled up through public commentary. And whether it's public commentary at the meeting themselves or offline conversations between board members, I think those are items that that would be beneficial to the community.
Thank you. Mr. DeFiglia.
Sure. I'd like to provide one concrete example of where I think the board could save some money is in the contracts that the board gives out to outside organizations to provide services to children who are need educational services when they're outside of school, if they're hospitalized or otherwise sent to a rehab facility, or if they need to be homeschooled due to illness, where there are a lot of companies out there who are charging very high rates that I have seen just in my last few weeks of the board approving fees that are very high for one-on-one services from companies that I know do not provide one-on-one services. They provide classroom-style settings in the hospital. And I think that if the board were to go through and look more closely at a lot of those contracts, they'd find a lot of waste. And especially if they could find one organization that they knew provided excellent services, especially to homeschooled or sick children in the district, that would be able to meet curriculum standards instead of just sending out contracts for $50 to one organization, $40 to another organization, and find one flat fee. It would be better for the school district as a whole. And I know that's not a lot of money, but it's one place that we can start.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the audience? Did anyone have anyone? Okay, do you want to write them down? And then you can pick it up. And we'll continue here. Our next question, we go back to Mr. DeFiglia. And that is, if elected, what committees would interest you for service?
Most likely, I personally would be interested in the curriculum committee. That's something that is very interesting to me because of the need for more evidence-based programs that are out there, the ones that are being discovered in the changing technology. I think that's something, especially with Common Core standards rolling out and the way that it's going to be implemented the next few years. I feel very strongly about Common Core standards. I think there's a lot of possibility to really increase and improve the education of our students through that curriculum. So it's something that I would like to participate in.
Thank you. Mr. Franz.
I think I kind of got lucky when I first joined the board. They put me in personnel. I like to think of myself as a people person. I thoroughly enjoy it. I do not want to be the last committee. There's 4 committees. The finance committee, that's the committee I would choose to steer clear of and leave that to the heavy hitters at this time. Policy committee, I think the world of Jill Weber, and I know that's in good hands. I'm ready to serve wherever, but personnel would, I guess, if I had to choose one, that's my favorite at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. DeFiglia.
Yeah, I just did that.
Yeah, you did that.
Yep.
Okay, so see, I gave up.
Curriculum again, if anyone else wants to
Seen
know
it, your
again.
opinion change.
Okay, now, we've covered all of the topics that are here, but there are repeated questions on a couple of the topics. So since we have time, I think I'll ask 3 more questions and then we'll conclude. And this has to do with the 2% cap. And who are we up to now? Mr. DeFiglia. Oh, boy. Okay, thank you. With a mandated 2% cap and the cost of business going way above that, what positions will you cut? And it's assuming that you have to cut positions, and so what would you cut?
My reaction would be this: until you look at that calendar year or that school year, what has been successful, what has not, as far as the teachers themselves, who's retiring, where the need is, maybe students are gravitating towards one language or another. I don't think you can say there's one position that you would focus on. I think it's really a year-by-year basis.
Would you like to try that?
Yeah, but quite honestly, I simply do not have enough information on all the staff members in the school to give an adequate response on that. So I'll pass.
Okay. There are a couple of questions here in this new round about the district's decision to have this special election in April. Do you favor staying with the April school board election or moving it to the November general election? And that's your question.
Sure. I absolutely favor keeping it in April. And again, this is because I understand, and I could be mistaken on this, and if anyone wants to educate me and correct me on my being wrong, I'm willing to reevaluate. But my understanding is that if we were to move the elections to November, that as long as the budget stayed within the 2% cap, plus any of the other additional add-ons, so the banked cap and other allowances, etc., that the public would not have an opportunity to vote on it. And as we saw in Chatham Borough last year in the municipal taxes, sometimes that tax increase, while staying under the 2% cap, can go as high as 7%. I think voters have a right to vote on the budget every year, especially given the fact that sometimes the 2% cap is sometimes almost tripled. So I favor keeping it in April.
Mr. Franz.
I'm fine with April. I think